Good evening. It's 5:30. I'd like to declare the Ordinary Council meeting of Monday the 24th of August 2026 open. In accordance with the Local Government Act of 1993, Cowra Council is live streaming and recording this meeting and will upload the recording to Council's website. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being live streamed and recorded and having that recording published in the public domain. Please ensure that when you speak at council meetings you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cowra Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, the Wiradjuri people, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. I have no apologies. I do expect that Councillor Speechley will be here shortly. 1.4, disclosures of interest. Councillors and staff, please indicate in relation to any interest you need to declare. A, what report or item you are declaring an interest in. B, whether the interest is pecuniary or non-pecuniary. And C, what is the nature of that interest? Councillor Horton.
Yeah, just one for me, item 5.2. It's non-pecuniary and it's minor, but I will leave the room. I've got a family member that works at the neighbourhood centre. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Declare a non-pecuniary interest in item 3.1, which was submitted by a family member, and I will leave the room.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Minor non-pecuniary interest in item 5.2, donation request for the Cowra Information and Neighbourhood Centre. I'm the chair of the Neighbourhood Centre Board and I'll leave the chamber.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. We have no presentations. The public forum. There is one member of the public who has registered with the General Manager's office to speak to an item in the agenda. Mark McLeish, who will speak on item 5.4, donation request, Cowra Magpies Rugby League Junior Finals. I'll call Mark by name and I ask that you introduce yourself and allow time for any councillor or member of the staff, if they had declared an interest in the item, to manage that conflict, which may include them leaving the room for your presentation. Each speaker will have a maximum of 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr McLeish. Before you start, Mark, Councillor Speechley, do you have any conflicts of interest?
Yes, item 5.2, the donation request by
Thank you. Mark.
Thank you. I'm Mark McLeish, Vice Chair of the Cowra Magpies Rugby League Club. Happy to move on. Yep, no worries. Okay, so thank you on behalf of the gallery. I'd like to thank Council for the opportunity to speak at the meeting. It is a privilege to be able to come and state our case when it comes to these sorts of things, and it's very much appreciated. From a personal level, I have been involved with Cowra Rugby League and since 1990 was my first experience with the Cowra Senior League, when Coach John Bischoff plucked me out of the under-16s and threw me on the field with the under-18s, where I promptly pooped myself and put my best foot forward. However, genetically, I'm disposed to get involved with the admin and runnings of clubs going forward. So I soon became a regular committee member and have held positions of office or committee positions for the last 25 years and am currently an office-bearing member of the committee today. The reason I'm here is to support, to give some support and offer myself for questions to our sponsorship request for our grand final weekend, which is held this weekend on Sunday the 30th of August. The Magpies have held grand finals in 2014, 1995 and 2018, not to put them in any sort of order. And we've always managed to put on a great day, and it's always been with the assistance of Council. So we, on getting the opportunity to host this year's grand final, there's obviously on costs involved that are sometimes risky, not knowing what crowds you're going to get, not knowing what the day is going to throw up. But logistically, there is things that we need to put in place to make the day a success, as well as safe for patrons and players and referees and officials alike. That request has crowd barriers, portaloos and some security involved, but it is at the figure of $3,500 does not cover all of those costs, but obviously we're happy to throw some skin in the game as well. We're not asking for everything, but in relation to what we had provided for us in 2014, 2018, it is a considerable less request that we've asked for support for. Just to give an idea of what Cowra Rugby League stands for, over the last, well, all my existence, we have always sort of tried to give back to the community as much as we can. We've held the black and white ball, which, while it is a fundraiser, we consider very much an important part of the fabric of society, giving young girls, young boys the opportunity to have that experience. We've also been involved in Tackle Domestic Violence campaign for nearly 15 years now. We run our first Pink Day for breast cancer research way back in the early 2000s. We were actually the first club this side of the mountains to start doing those sorts of things, and we've held those days of interest right through our time, and once again we're also involved with the festival. We're also involved in many other groups. We do like to be very present in the community, and we don't always have to have our hand this way. We can give back, not always financially, but certainly with manpower and coverage and being involved in the town. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Council for their assistance, not just on those grand final days. Many in the room I've been involved with. I've been waving the flag for some time now. A couple of us have seen sometimes when I wave the flag more vigorously than others, but we have maintained through that whole process that we understand Council give us a lot for not much, and our facility over there, while in dire need of some attention, has always been available to us at minimum cost, and we certainly want to make sure that Council understand we appreciate that very much, and it doesn't go unseen. And while sometimes we have to rally for a more ideal situation, that appreciation is always there. And so I take that forward with this application for support for our grand final day. We will make it a memorable one in Cowra. The visitation, obviously, to town, our motels are already starting to fill up as a result of this event. It also ties in conveniently, quite by fluke, but the Junior League semi-finals are on the day before, so we've been able to tie in those crowd barriers and portaloos and things to work for them as well. So, we are working very collaboratively with Junior League as well. So, so look, there's a lot of boxes ticked with this, and yeah, I just hope you guys can see fit to help us out. Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of Mark? Councillor Downing, thank you.
Good call. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to know, how does it work when you're awarded the Woodbridge Cup Grand Final? Do you receive any funds to run that Grand Final from Woodbridge Cup?
No, so the short answer is no. Woodbridge Cup, unlike the previous competition we were playing in, work on an application basis to host the Grand Final. We deliberately did not apply for that in our first 2 years of the Woodbridge Cup. We've been very conscious of how we assimilate into that competition. We didn't want to feel like the big dogs coming in and wanting to rule everything. We've certainly on the field proved that we're not the big dogs, and that the competition is pretty heavy in Woodbridge. So the difference in the way the grand finals are run, it's an application basis only, where in the previous competition the first into the grand final was the host. Yeah, there's no assistance coming from New South Wales Rugby League or the Woodbridge. The Woodbridge actually take the gate takings from the grand final, which is how they finance everything they need to purchase throughout the year, like representative jerseys, referees' fees, all those sorts of things that go on. So the on costs are passed on to us, and once again we're the recipients of the bar and the canteen going forward. That can be a great day, or an inch of rain can make it a pretty ordinary one. So there is risk involved when it comes to the outlay for infrastructure to make players and crowds safe. So hence the application. Yeah.
Anybody else? Councillor Watt?
Thank you for coming along, Mark. This always helps to have some background to the application. Sorry, I just didn't quite catch in there. How much notice do you get that we were successful in getting the Woodbridge?
So week 1 of the finals. So
Right.
we've been aware of this for a couple of weeks. Yeah,
But not long
yeah.
for a big
Not
event.
long,
or to fundraise for it,
but
yeah.
a hell of a lot longer than what previous campaigns were. Because as I said, first into the grand
Previous
final
day,
in the previous competition was the host, which gave us about 8 days to organise this prior. I can safely say with previous contributions from council that involved hiring in grandstands, portable grandstands from Sydney and things like that, what was able to be achieved in a short period of time was quite amazing. It doesn't feel like we've had any more time, but we actually have. The speculation around whether we're actually playing or not is a hard one. This year the under-18s have gone through to the grand final in an undefeated capacity, but our other 2 grades were knocked out yesterday in Oberon. Unfortunately, the girls under tormenting circumstances, but yeah, the first grade just couldn't keep up. We had quite a few players injured going out of last week and couldn't get it to that last hurdle. So it is our youth league side that's being represented, but the question also leads me into another example of how we've invested in the female component of the game into programs that involve women in league, as well as some strong programs with the Indigenous population as well. So we do have that platform, and it's great.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Wright. You might turn your microphone on, please, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. But there's junior finals on one day, then the senior league's on another day, isn't it? But it's just in our donation request here, it's junior finals, but it's all tied in together.
No, so they are separate events, and I guess the easiest way of describing it is that Junior League will benefit from what we're putting in place. So the extra toilets and crowd barriers doesn't fall into required criteria for the Junior League carnivals, but it will certainly make their product better. And obviously with the hiring in of that stuff, it's a drop-off Friday, pick up Monday stuff, so it's there. So it's more so it's a Junior League will benefit from what we're putting in place. So while they're not making the application, they will certainly get the best of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Mark. You can stay or go, whatever you would like. Thank you very much. Item 2, confirmation of minutes. I'll now take a motion to confirm the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 27th of July 2026. Councillor Kiss. Councillor Fagan, thank you. Councillor Kiss.
Not needed, thank you.
Councillor Fagan. Anyone else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Kiss.
Not necessary, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass, thank you. Item 3, the General Committee recommendations from the meeting on Monday the 10th of August 2026. 3.1, seeking endorsement for Gateway Determination Planning Proposal PP 2026-960, zone and minimum lot size change on 387 Canounder Road, Cowra, Lot 2, DP 1049-270. Councillor Kiss. Thank you. Councillor Downing. Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We had considerable discussion regarding this proposal during the General Committee meeting. My views haven't changed since then. And look, I understand the intention behind the RU1 prime production land to remain at a minimum of 100 hectares, and it's to keep it financially and otherwise viable for agricultural use. And it is very important that we do keep land of that size for that purpose. But over the years, one reason or another, there's been subdivisions made with various lots, especially some close to town, close to villages' centres, and have been reduced significantly less than the 100 hectares, and now obviously not as likely to be viable in the farming lot because of the locality of this particular block and the size, which is way under the 100 hectares, I'm supportive of the endorsement for the gateway determination. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Downing.
Yes, just to say that the gateway determination is the first step after what we have done here to say we want to go ahead and do that. We're not making a decision on whether this happens or not. We send it away to them. So happy to support that.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you. I support this. It's this is what the future holds for that area. It joins the residential part of Cowra now on the southern side of the boundary. Then on the across the road on the eastern side, we have a major R5 large lot development as part of our rural town, and this area has been identified as possibly the next area to open up into R5 lots or some sort of residential lots. And the land's bounded by a road. It's not down Doncaster Drive, I think it is. So it's contained within an area that can be managed. It's not out in open RU1 land. It's not going to be a pimple on someone's head or something. And this is not Cowra Council making the submission. We're supporting the submission going forward by the proponents who own the land, as this is what they want to do with their land as their investment, which they're quite willing to do and are allowed to do, and I do support it. RU1 land will not necessarily be protected by 100 hectare subdivision, and that's a different argument for a different day. We're lucky to have 100 hectares because the next area we had at the time, and that in 2000 well, it was gazetted in 2012, but all the argument went on from about 2006. We had to talk it back from 400 hectares because that's what the government imposed on us, and that was totally unreasonable for the agricultural land. But this lot is in an area where it's not going to affect major agricultural production, and it could be quite surprising what can be produced on these 5 hectare lots or whatever they are, 2 hectare, whatever the lots were going to be. They can still produce a lot of agricultural output with different forms of agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Kiss.
Not necessary, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? It's a show of hands, thanks. Carried, thank you. We'll move on to item 4. 4.1, the delivery program for 2025-26 through to 2028-29. The operational plan 2025 to 2026 and the 6-monthly review to 30th of June 2026. Councillor Kiss. Councillor Wright. Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, the 6 months review, it's quite unbelievable to think that we've got through quite this much in 6 months. You know, I know that we can sit in here and look quite satisfied at what we've achieved. In reality, most of the credit should actually go to the staff, I believe, and they really should be congratulated on what they have achieved. It's a huge report, certainly not going to go back through it all. One of the things that stands out to me is our increased communication, word getting out about our events, funding opportunities, public consultations, whatever's happening, even whether it's, you know, work happening out in the roads, that additional communication, I believe, is also going to help with our community satisfaction. But look, I would invite anybody to read through this plan. There's something in it for everyone: health, housing, you name it. Anyway, I'm not going to go through it all because there's 9 of us, and otherwise it'll make for a very long night. But I think it's something we can be very proud of and look forward to the next 6 months as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you. This is a report provided by the General Manager on the activities of Council and how what work we've done in the past 6 months relates to our delivery program, which was set when this current council was elected in 2024, and this was finalised in the 25 period. So there's 8 of these reports come to us. It's just reporting on the continuation of many programs that we run and how they're going on, how we're managing to deliver what we feel is necessary for this council to provide a good community environment for our residents and ratepayers. And I support this being put forward as the report, and congratulate the staff and the directors for keeping council on track, but then also for the staff under the directors that can follow their lead and deliver the actual work on ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to our. Did I just pull that out? No. You can tell I'm out of practice. Just would like to highlight a few things that I came across in the report, which are, I think, important to flag. We've got here that the council has undertaken improvement of softball across a number of playgrounds, and I recently attended one of them, and there was a big change, and I think that's been very appreciated by the community that we brought that back up to standard. We've improved Macquarie Street landscaping, which has also been very well appreciated across the community. Something I think is really worth highlighting is the massive attendance to the Civic Centre and activation put on there. Over the past 12 months, the Civic Centre has seen 312 events, attracting 12,746 people, which is pretty amazing and a really great reflection of what can happen with the activation that we had with the grant funding to put into that space, with the quality seating both upstairs and downstairs. The report notes that over the 12-month period, 2,614 people attended the cinema program, with many of them being sold out. I think there's about 40 to 50 seats in there, so that's a pretty great showing across the time, as well as around 5,000 people attending the Eisteddfod. $61,748 was provided to community local operators and not-for-profits in concessional fees. And I think that's a really fantastic way that we can now see how we are contributing to the community and utilising this space both as a commercial venture that people can go and watch a movie, as well as attend events such as we recently had Dave Hughes. We've got Joe coming up. I'm attending Bombshells next week. There's a lot of fantastic commercial events happening, but we know we've also got the Cowra Theatre Company having their first big event later in the year. We've got ballet schools, we've got community organisations like that utilising it, and I think we're getting closer to reaching that balance between allowing it to be a space for our community to grow, as well as balancing that in the budget with commercial events. We've also commenced projects to facilitate online requests for council maintenance or works, reopened the parent space at Squire Park, awarded contracts to install solar on some council buildings such as the Visitors Centre, and installed electric vehicle chargers at tourism areas and local areas. We've adopted an emissions estimating tool to be able to set standards for what council's emissions are and work to reduce that over time, as well as completed our bin audit and started the progress towards developing our FOGO scheme. And I think there's some really great advancements in, as Councillor Wright said, we set out our agenda at the beginning of every 4-year term, and I'm really proud to see some progress on, particularly around our impact on the environmental impact of council. We've got more on that today with the adoption of our environmental sustainability plan, as well as providing those spaces in the livability area to progress that for our community, and lots more to come. So I think it's a fantastic report on the past 6 months. As always, there's a lot that we still need to do, but as Councillor Wright said, we have a few more years to tick off all those boxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Right, a reply, Councillor Kiss. Councillor Wright, can you turn your mic off, please?
No, not necessary, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Thank you. 5.1, the Local Government Remuneration Tribunal, their 2027 annual review for noting. Councillor Fagan, thank you. And Councillor Kiss. Councillor Fagan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is has to be noted, it's part of the Local Government Tribunal and the Act and the annual review of our wages, which we are very light on, but we all, I'm not doing this for the wages, as we say every time. It is important that we actually review our remuneration, and it's part of the Act. I don't think we're going to note it, we're not making a submission. We will make a decision next year on whether we will make a submission and change our mind about whether we should get paid more or less. So I'm just happy to recommend that we pass this as a part of our duty as a councillor, even though we're not asking for more money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I support Director Dalton's recommendation. I look through this and I still actually wonder at the true relevance of these particular categories to what our remuneration is. And I think, you know, most of us have said over the time that things like our commitment, time, civic engagement, professional learning, legislative responsibilities, all of those are more in line with.
Sorry, excuse me, we've got someone making a delivery outside. Mr. Vidlich.
Oh, should I continue?
Yeah, you can now, thank you.
Yep. Anyway, I think that there are other items, categories that could make the remuneration levels much more appropriate. Having said that, I think that's going to be a long time coming until anything like that comes around. Certainly happy to support nothing going through for stage 1, no submissions, and just wait and see for stage 2 and see what the other councils come up with. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Kiss, Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to clarify that this item is not actually about our own remuneration necessarily. It's about the classification of our shire. We were previously, the last time there was a review, moved up to rural large, and what the director's asking us to make a recommendation on is, I guess, whether we want to challenge that and move up to the next level, or whether we want to sit where we are. The report articulates that there's 2 stages to this review, and I think it's fair to say that we should wait until stage 2. From the current classification, we fit quite well into rural large. There are some elements like tourism highlighted in the next level up, which we may fit into, but there's a lot of other levels about the other services that we don't have. And while this does have an impact on councillor remuneration, it also has an impact on fees that the council is required to pay, types of funding we can apply for in different buckets like that. So it is much broader than remuneration for council, but it is also the challenge of recognising the scope of what this council does. It does also have implications for things like the kind of DAs we approve and all of that kind of challenges as well. So I very much support the recommendation of the director that we wait to see if there's any significant change to the the classifications in stage 1 and then make a determination going forward whether we want to make any other submissions to where we are. But it was quite a significant change when we moved into rural large last time, and that's kind of the top category for rural councils, and to step up kind of identifies us as a larger city like Orange or Bathurst, and I don't think that we could realistically articulate that. So very happy to leave it as is.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, no, it's all very good. Yeah, we've been put into a different category, which allows council to offer a higher remuneration to councillors, and also I'd say some of the staff go onto a different pay regime at different levels when we go to replace staff or something. But I still have, this is still fundamentally flawed in my view, to have all these different categories, because it's just, they're dividing us up on postcodes to a certain extent, and you go to councils near the Newell Highway or west of the Newell Highway, and they're down at the bottom end, and they do as much work and have to fight a lot harder to get what they need to do to keep their council and community ticking along, and trying to keep it in the realms of having a realistic community outcome. And they have to do a lot more travelling to get to meetings, and you can say, oh well, you can get paid for travelling. Yes, that is, but it's the time and awkwardness of getting there and back, and I just feel there should be just one. There should be one thing for every council in New South Wales, regardless of how much money they turn over, regardless of their postcode, regardless of how many million-dollar mansions they have in their shire, and everyone be on a level playing field. And some of the people in the metropolitan areas, if they were put back onto our remuneration outcomes, or even ones in the Lachlan and Wedden and further, they would get a rude awakening on what they've got to do and how they've got to apply themselves without having a large amount of money paid to them, because their council might handle more money, but they can often do less work. So I've tried this in my own application to IPART in my thinking, but I think it just gets filed in the round container that this fella doesn't make any sense. But all state and federal government politicians there they're all on the one base salary. They might get a bit more money for their officers when they're in a bigger area to get around and that. But I just feel this is a flawed system, and often used in the metropolitan area for councils to use it as a stepping stone into politics, and I don't think that's a good thing. If you want to do the job, you get on council to look after your own local people. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Fagan.
Not necessary, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass, thank you. 5.2 is a donation request from the Cowra Information and Neighbourhood Centre for their annual services day. Can I have someone? Councillor Fagan, Councillor Downing. Thank you. Councillor Fagan.
I approve. I think this is a great recommendation. This is something that I'm not sure whether they've done it before. They've done it in other places. The SINC is going to hold a annual services day on the 11th of November. It's good that we have plenty of time to think about it, and it is about getting all our community services together in one place and providing information to our community. And I think it's important that we support this. It's all about local government. It's all about local not-for-profits, and I think that they're very important to our community. Too much of our community is now franchised out to people who don't live here, and I think that this is very important that we control, that we actually support local not-for-profits in this way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Downing.
Yes, just to clarify that the Cowra Neighbourhood Centre is asking for a $550 donation, which the money will be used to pay for half of the refreshments on the day. They're expecting 40 store holders to be in attendance, and I think I've read they've done this once before. Last year was the first one, and I think it was really well attended. I didn't go myself, but Rotary had a stand there, and it was a great day. So congratulations to them for doing it again. Happy to support them. A very small contribution, really. And as usual, SINC normally put council on there as a partner, so that's good advertising for us as well. So great to spend the money on the community.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is a good initiative by SINC. They are probably one of the groups that will be there advertising what services they offer the community. But I think it might have been Councillor Fagan said that these non-profit organisations, they do provide a lot of the support to the community from government bodies. And I think she said they're franchised out where government employs these people to do their work rather than have their own departments do it, because they've only got to write one check, and these organisations look after administrating all the work, and it's not goes back to a public servant. But from what I've found out lately, I pressed a button on Facebook about hearing aids and what age I was, and this fellow rang me, and I said, "Oh yeah, who are you?" He said, "Oh, so and so," and I said, "All right, why are you ringing me?" He said, "Oh, you said you're interested in hearing aids," and I said, "Well, I'm not, but my family reckons I should be." But and he went to ask a lot of questions. He said, "You're getting this, you're getting that," and I said, "No." He said, how do you live?" I said, "I go to work and look after myself." And he said, "Oh, well, it can't. There's all these other things out there that people can access to get into accessing other things, and a day like this might help these people, because people don't have to live on a very tight income and provide for themselves. There is help out there to help them with different things, even with education and so forth." And I've probably gone right off tangent here, and I'm not even talking about the right thing, but I think this is what they do, and I support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Fagan.
Yes, right. Thank you, Councillor Wright. This is actually, as Councillor Downing said, as Councillor Downing said, it is a $550 donation. It's not a lot of money. SINC does a great job, and what it does is bring all of the services together in one place, and they even find out about each other, what the services they provide. So I think it's not only the community that finds out what's going on, it's also the services provide know what's going on between themselves. So I think it's really valuable to everybody, and I think it's well worth the $550 we're going to donate. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Thank you. Item 5.3, donation request Mullion Public School for their 2026 School Spectacular. Councillor Watt. Councillor Speechley, thank you. Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very lucky that my name's got right every time. This is one that regularly comes to us and one that we are very happy to continue to support our community in doing so. Mullian have put in a request for $2,000 to support some students attending School Spectacular. It's a huge opportunity for local school kids to be in a space with a huge amount of people in performing arts and see the opportunities available to them. It's quite a costly event. I think it's about a week in Sydney. The total cost that the school has put down will be $9,100 for accommodation for staff and students for the week, costumes, food and incidentals. The school is receiving some financial support from School Spectacular itself, and they've put together $4,250 in fundraising so far. As noted in the report, this of course doesn't cover that there are additional costs to the school as well, such as covering those teachers when they're away and other elements. But I think there was a great quote in here that it builds student confidence and resilience and promotes cultural confidence. And I think that's a great project for us to support.
Thank you. Councillor Speechley.
Thank you. Look, I 100% agree with you, Councillor Watt. It is a fantastic program. It's a great opportunity for young people to experience not only Sydney, but the energy and the excitement around the School Spectacular program. So I'm very happy to support this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, thank you. I support this. It's a lot of people can look at this. Oh, it's just kids going to a dance and singing exhibition in Sydney. Well, that's what they've chosen to do with their spare time, and part of school learning is to dance and sing and play an instrument or something. And these activities, that's their, well, in this case, it's the premium sporting field for these students. If you had a football team wanting to go to Sydney to play on a state carnival, it's, oh yeah, no, that's good, yeah, no, they go down there and play football and do that and all that. Well, yes, but they're going to play, those people are going to play on that, on the football field down there as part of their sport. So I consider this as these people going down to play their sport on their premium sports ground. So I think it's very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Downing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to support this. Like the School Spectacular, it's incredible that these local children have been actually chosen. They'll be taking part in an event which is like world-class event, and there'll be over 5,500 people there. So they've been chosen out of all those schools, and I'm proud to say that they're coming from Cowra and that we can help support them. There was a thing in the papers, the reason that council can support this and it is a school is because this is not part of their curriculum, which is what our rules are around it. So they will be fundraising the money and it's not in their normal school budget. So happy to support.
Thank you. Councillor Horton.
Yeah, thank you. Probably more a question. And again, for the avoidance of any doubt, absolutely happy to support this. Agree with all the sentiments around the exposure and the experience that it gives for kids and their families. It's just one of those ones, and I read here, of course, this is an audition process, so you don't really know kind of year on year. It's hard to plan because we've had situations in the past where 2 or 3 schools have asked like that. Is this the only school this year, as far as we know, that has made it through?
Through the chair, I actually don't know. However, my suspicion is there is one other. I think Cowra High is going as well, but I'd have to double check my notes and advise.
The reason I ask, and I've asked this in other with other regular donation requests as well, if there's any ability for us to know in advance and us to plan, like we get we'll get a request for a school spectacular donation kind of each year. And so it's probably just a question for us to consider, you know, going forward with regular donations. Is there a better way for us to manage that or plan for that? With ones that are ad hoc and we don't know that it's going to come up, well, there's not much you can do about that. But wherever we can plan, I think from a budgetary perspective, it's going to make it easier for us. So just, for consideration, but happy to support this one. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? I'd just like to make one quick comment on the application. The school spectacular themselves offer support, $50 per person. Now, if you live in somewhere close to the Homebush, that's probably enough to cover their transport costs and put a little bit towards their uniforms. But when they're country kids, they are severely disadvantaged, and I think it's only fair that we should help them. $50. You know, is the other side of the sandstone curtain. Yeah, do it tough. Hey, I write a reply, Councillor Watt.
Yeah, it's pretty galling, isn't it? $50 is not going to go very far for these kids. Wouldn't cover the petrol. I just wanted to say I do pick up Councillor Horton's note, but my understanding is this is audition based, and there could be a year where we don't get it, and we have generally looked at the different amount of kids each year. So I don't think we'd want to allocate a dollar figure, because that might mean we're covering all the costs one year or a very small proportion the year after. And we have, you know, sometimes it's 3 schools, sometimes it's 1. So, yeah.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Thank you. 5.4, donation request, Cowra Magpies Rugby League Junior Finals. Councillor.
I think it needs to say not junior finals. I think the wording is incorrect.
Leave the word junior off.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's not involved in it? Okay.
Yep.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Councillor Downing. Councillor Horton, thank you. Councillor Downing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to Mark McLeish, who is on the committee of the Cowra Magpies Senior League, for coming and explaining it all to us. As we heard earlier, Woodbridge Cup doesn't give any hosting town money. They take the gate tickets, gate entry fees, and then you are at the mercy of who buys food and alcohol on the day. So it's a pretty big event. These 2 events together, from ChatGPT, that smart thing that we all check on, we could expect possibly 3,000 people to come to Cowra for these 2 events over one weekend, which is pretty substantial for our tourism. And if you think that if the average person spends $30 while they're here, that would be an incredible amount of money. So happy to support this. They're asking for $3,000 to assist with hosting the event over the weekend. Obviously, they will be playing on the Sunday, and the juniors will be playing on the Saturday, and they're getting some benefit from the things that will be set up for the Sunday. We're also considering in-kind a donation for traffic control as well, because there'll be a lot of cars. So I think that the Cowra Magpies should be congratulated, Junior League and Senior League really, for getting these 2 great events. They've won the rights over a lot of other bigger towns and a lot of other people with better facilities than ours through the Central West League community. So I'm very proud of that. And as we're aware from recent discussions and planning around our sports masterfield plans, our facilities are rather basic. I was going to say archaic, but basic will do. And so, you know, there hasn't been a lot of updating over the years. So for them to both get these is actually a great feather in their cap. So it's an absolute credit and to them and their governing bodies, and I have faith in their ability to host an event, this event, and I'm happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Horton.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor, and absolutely echo Councillor Downing's comments. There's only look, I think knowing Mark and other people that are involved in the club, they'll work their backsides off to make it a fantastic weekend. Fingers crossed for good weather. As Mark mentioned, it can be a bit of a risk in terms of outdoor events, of course, but fingers crossed they get a couple of great days. I think it was also very relevant for Mark to mention the presence that clubs, he obviously was talking about his Magpies, but sporting clubs in general, the importance and the impact that they have in communities. Mark is very active outside of game day. He mentioned a few things, but I remember going along to some Anzac conversations that the rugby league club sponsored at the local club, and it was just fantastic. It was, outside of their lane. One of the major reasons that they wanted to do that was he had a lot of young players that he felt didn't have an understanding of that kind of culture and heritage. So these sporting clubs play a much bigger part in communities than we sometimes think. There's only one thing, I guess, that I'm really surprised at with the application is they haven't asked for more, frankly. So I'm glad to hear that we're going to do some in-kind, and I hope certainly that we make it clear to the club that there's no harm in asking if there was more barriers needed, or if there was more bins needed, or if whatever. At least ask the question. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, I've got a question. The 4 hours of road of staff time with traffic control or something, it says it's been absorbed by the RMS. Is that Transport for New South Wales or someone else?
Yeah, that's correct. RMS, or Transport for New South Wales, provides us with a fair amount of program funding, and that would be drawn from that.
Thank you.
Yeah, anyone else wish to comment? Well, I've just got one little query. That in the application it says that if it's a successful day, they will donate $250 to 3 other clubs. Now, if it's a successful day, it's basically our money going to the 3 other clubs, and somewhere along there I've got a problem. But if they want to donate to other clubs, they should donate it. But in actual fact, we will be donating it. I just think that we need to probably consider that in future things as to how people operate these sort of days. Right, a reply, Councillor. Sorry, Councillor Wright.
Comment now.
So, no, you've had a go. Right. In that case, comment.
Comment. My comment is that I don't believe your view there on who's donating the money is correct, because the money they want is to be able to provide enough, to buy enough supplies, the way I read it, to put the event on, to buy the food, the refreshments, and hire whatever they need to hire to run the thing. And as Councillor Horton said, and Mark also said, if the weather doesn't go with them or something, it gets very difficult. And you can either have too much food left over or not enough, or whatever, but you've still had to spend the money. So I feel that the money we're giving them, or the proposal to grant them, is to help supply the basic things they need to run the day, and their people will turn up and sell them all, and if they make a profit over that, it's their money to do whatever they want to do with it, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that would have been an appropriate question to ask Mr. McLeish when he came forward today, if where that funding was coming from. I'm not sure if the director has any clarification of if there's money that's won on the day if someone succeeds, or if that was more about the attendance. And I think, well, I guess that's a question, and then I'll continue to comment.
Thank you, through the chair. The revenue that the club will get from the event, essentially like basic kind of stuff from selling food, drinks, so forth. They are also collecting cans and bottles so that they can then claim a refund on that. Their intention is that if they have raised enough money to be able to meet their existing commitments to donate, they will then donate anything remaining to, I believe it was Rotary, but I don't have any more information other than that.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Yeah, I think if we had concerns about that, we should have asked it of the person who was here. It was articulated there, Rotary, Lions and Enablement organisation, so $750 total. But I would very much like to reiterate what Councillor Wright said, that the expenditure asked here is something they will need to spend regardless of if one person or 3,000 people attend. And that's not something they can determine beforehand. It's not something they'll get money back on if less people use the toilet over the weekend. So as was articulated by Mr. McLeish, this is kind of, it's a bit of a risk of expenditure. We hope that by supporting this, there will be a number of people come to town, stay for the weekend, take part in tourism activities throughout it, spend at our local venues. And I think it was raised earlier by Councillor Downing that other councils have given quite a bit, and I think it's a really good reflection in many ways on the club that they are able to respond to an event like this with only a couple of weeks' notice and be able to set up the venue, staff the venue, and only, as Councillor Horton said, only ask us for this much money. I think Councillor Downey's was $12,000 was what another council supported in putting in. So that gives some insight into what putting on an event like this costs. And I congratulate the team and the club on putting in a successful application to hold this. As has been noted, it's a great opportunity for our local kids, local people in the club to see, high quality sport. It's a great opportunity for the community to have so many people come through. This isn't a request that's going to come every year. I think as noticed, it's generally been about 10 years in between each one, but sounds like a good weekend, and I'm glad, hopefully, that we can support them.
Thank you. Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm certainly supporting everything that's been said before. I have to admit I did look originally at the potential donations, and I had a bit of mixed feelings to begin with. But the ultimate thing is, I thought one is the donation they're looking for is to be able to put the event on, and if they actually did have some earnings that came through from the canteen, from the sale of sausage sandwiches and whatever, I actually would have expected them to keep that in their own pocket to reduce their own future fundraising needs, so they're not having to do as many raffles or, the black and white ball and everything that we know the Magpies actually get out there and do within the community. So when I looked at that and I thought, well, actually, they're offering to give back even more, when I would have been quite happy in saying, those cans you're picking up, put that in your own bank account so that, you don't have to work as hard in the future. So I actually thought it was quite generous. It may happen, it may not, but to me, I actually thought this just actually goes to show how strong the Magpies are as far as glue within our fabric of the town. That they're actually seeing beyond themselves, as they always do. They contribute way beyond the football scope. So yeah, very proud of them and good on them.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Write a reply, Councillor Downing.
Yes, thank you. When I was speaking to Councillor Kiss about this earlier, I explained Rotary gives money to Sync each year in our donations for a Love Bites program. Last year, Rotary applied for a club grant for that money. That's what, it sounds odd, but that's what happens. People get money and they give it to other local communities. So that, I feel that is the same type of thing. So Rotary, Lions and Enablement are named to be the benefactors of $250 each if they do have the money, which is lovely. And I think it just shows the support of the town. So finally, I would just like to say that Cowra's Youth League side is in the grand final. They are undefeated, which might be a little bit of a bogey, but hopefully they will win on the day and we wish them the best of luck, and hopefully lots of Cowra people can get out and support our youth league team.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Passed. Thank you. 5.5, Investments and Financial Report. Councillor Kiss. Councillor Watt. Thank you. Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to actually thank Director Dalton for the comprehensive explanation of Council's investment strategy and how our investments adjusted in relation to the RBA. And I fully appreciate the ebbs and flows with lag time occurring between deposits, maturity dates, and I also appreciate the implications of potentially terminating term deposits just to catch a better rate. We have 69 term deposits that have been captured at the best rate at the time that was available and invested for the specific period until such time as they were predicted to be needed. We've got skilled staff that make this prudent decision making. So very, very pleased, and it's a very handy document to read through and to really absorb. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. Our rate collection is comparable, if not somewhat better than the average at this particular point in previous years. Having a look at that orange line on page 164, it's getting very colourful on those lines, and you have to start enlarging. But you know, by and all, it's very good result. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kiss. Thank you to the Director, as was noted, and the team for the articulation here of how our investment policy works, particularly around term deposits. This has come up, as I've raised at the past 6 or so meetings, a concern about the reduction in, a reduction in our interest rates for term deposits relative to the cash rate. I think this report has missed the point a little bit of what I was raising. At no point was I suggesting that we break existing term deposits or that we seek to adopt a different investment strategy. But the question that I was raising is why our rates for each period were lower and continue to be lower than the cash rate for when in previous years our investments had always been above the cash rate. Each time I've raised it, the period, whether that be over 180 days, 100 to 185 days, was less than the cash rate at that time, and that can still be reflected here. We have around 1.4% of our term deposits are less than 100 days, and all of our investments over 150 days are drastically below the average cash rate. And as I said, each month that I raised it, we were going into term deposits that were less than the cash rate at the time. So I would reject the assertion that we were taking the best rate at the time, because we were going into term deposits that were lower than the cash rate. I understand we can't always, ask for everything we want, but the reason I raised it is that previously our term deposits had always been on average above the cash rate. And there was a shift in the last 6 months where that stopped happening. And I know this because every time Nikki and I moved the reports, I raised that we were on all measures above the cash rate on average. To provide some evidence for that, we can see on page 161 that our average interest rate is at 5.01%, which is lower than all term deposits that are 150 days plus. And if we went back and looked at each monthly report gone past, it would be the same, that the cash rate average we were provided at that time was higher than term deposits we were going into. As I said, on page 163, this is even more important because 98.66% of our current investments are greater than 100 days, and all of our investments of that period are drastically below the cash rate. It's also noted on the graph provided 157 that the portfolio average between the cash rate and the period is reducing in the gap between the two. It's really great to see now when you look at that table, sorry I'm jumping around, but back on 161, our investments of less than 120 days are higher than the cash rate. That's great, but as I noticed, that's only 1.4% of our term deposits. So hopefully we continue in that way, and hopefully that means that we've been able to adjust. But I think there's a bit more investigation that needs to be here, and as I said, this report doesn't actually answer the question of what I've been raising. would like to end on one positive, I guess. We've closed out 3 loans in this report, which is great. They were quite low interest, so it does have some adjustment on our overall interest average, but we are still sitting at kind of cash rate on our loans, which I think is a really good position due to our renegotiating 2 of our larger loans. So it's good to see the airport subdivision depot redevelopment stage 1 and cemetery expansion loans all paid off, and sitting at only, I think there's only one loan which ends in 2029 that's over 7%. So I think a good position for us to be in. We have quite a few longer term loans now, not as many ending soon, but they are generally at cash rate. So I think that's a good position, but always good for us to monitor, and would appreciate at the next meeting or when appropriate a bit more investigation into why term deposits that have maturity, that are at maturity of over 100 days were consistently below the cash rate at the time and continue to be so. Thanks.
Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Downing? Councillor Watt was the seconder. Councillor Kiss moved it.
I just have a question. We were provided with the policy, the investment policy. It does say there that it is should be reviewed at least every 4 years. It's been 6 now. It's 2020. So do we have any idea when that will be reviewed?
Through the chair, the policy is actually under review at the moment, and I expect it to bring it forward at the next meeting, the next council meeting.
Anyone else wish to comment?
Yeah.
Councillor Wright?
Yeah, Councillor Watt raises a lot of interesting questions and quite obviously spent a lot of time studying them or asked someone else to do it. When you make these investments, they got to be at a certain level of recommendation credit rating. And
sorry, point of order. I've asked for an apology at the assumption that I wasn't able to do that analysis myself. I don't think that fits with our terms of how we treat each other in the chamber.
I apologise if you took it the wrong way, but it's quite a lot of. I had trouble keeping up with what you were talking with, but I apologise and I trust that what you've done is your own work. Thank you.
Do you wish to continue, Councillor Wright?
And it takes me back to about 2005. I know everyone says, oh, he lives in the past again. But Lehman Brothers, they had the highest credit rating possible. And a lot of councils, they call them the 3 C's. It was churches, councils and charity organisations invested in them. There were some councils invested in them and got very good returns until they crashed. And they had to spend a lot of money and angst to try and get whatever money they could back. And I find that sometimes, yes, you can get more money here than there, but you've got to be in a situation where the people where you're investing, that you do know that the money will be there when it does come due. And for all what the government tells us to do, they do not honour any investment made, even with the highest credit rating. So it's still buyer beware, and I think sometimes being a little bit prudent can be better in the end. But if it comes out that we're doing the wrong thing or not getting the right rate of return, we do need to address it. But when you said you paid these loans out, we had to pay a lot of money to break them. So we sort of paid all that interest that we weren't going to pay, that we would have paid. We paid it all early, and went on. So for $20,000, we spent $700,000 or $800,000 or whatever, and we saved $20,000. So I think you've got to be a bit careful.
Okay, anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Kiss, right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the discussion around the chamber from my fellow councillors, and I certainly take Councillor Watt's point. I have to admit I hadn't considered it from the perspective of what Councillor Watt was suggesting. I will be interested to look at it a bit further, and I do appreciate that our investments are made according to the ministerial investment order, so we know that they're solid, potentially more conservative than what they might otherwise be, but I'll be interested to see what comes out of any considerations as to whether there is potential for improvement or whether that is or that could be done at the time. It'll be interesting to see. So thank you for the robust discussion.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Passed. Thank you. 5.6, quarterly budget review statements, period ending June 2026. Councillor Kiss. Councillor Watt. Thank you, Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just asking that our fourth quarter budget review be adopted. It's showing a healthy surplus of 2.689 million. It is significantly reduced from what the original estimate was. However, there have been significant expenses that were not planned for originally at the time the original budget was made. They are very well explained within the commentary. Some of them we will actually be making some money back on, such as the additional expense in having broken the loan and renegotiated it at a lower rate. So anyway, all in all, we're still in a healthy financial position. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Kiss. As noted, there's a number of carryover items that have been moved into the next financial year, and there's quite a useful breakdown. Thank you to the Director and his team for that. I think it's important to clarify that the positive impact to the budget over the periods of those loans is $200,000, not 20. So quite significant when you look at our cash flow as a small council. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Kiss, right of reply.
Not needed, thank you.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Passed. Thank you. 6.1, the committee minutes of the Transport Forum. I'll move that they... No, this is item 6, Director of Infrastructure and Operations. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Kiss, thank you. Yes, this is the Transport Forum. It was mainly to do with road closures for festivals and things like that, the shows, things like that. I know there was a question earlier about the proposed speed restriction or reduction in Doncaster Drive. We put that back to Transport for New South Wales because they are the responsible entity that decides these things. They have outsourced that to a consulting company, so we are waiting on the reply from the consulting company. But so that's all I've got, Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, and just to continue on a little bit with your mention of the speed zone partnership, I actually think that's quite a good idea. It's called the Abley Group, and we were given some statistics, just some basic data on accidents that have been happening around our LGA, the severity of the accidents, and they obviously will then help contribute to what decisions are made as far as speed zones go. And so it's interesting, you know, I mean, we know that whatever speed zones there are going to be based on actual data, and hopefully with the outsourcing of this to the Abley Group, it'll become more focused and, I suppose, across the board detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Watt.
2 questions on the table at the end. I note there's an ongoing item from 2023 about the kiss and drop changes requested to Mullian, and that we've been unsuccessful a number of times in a grant application. Could we please be provided, if on notice needed, but the estimated cost of that kiss and drop area? I can't imagine it's a huge cost.
I'll have to take that one on notice, councillor. Come back to you.
No worries, thank you for that. And I note as well that we were successful in application for an amendment to the speed zone for Kendall Street. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
What's the wording
that is still with
says?
Transport for New South Wales.
It says in June, July, there was an action. Due in June, July, is that the right terminology?
I haven't got it in front of me, but I can assure you we have not yet received a reply from Transport for New South Wales.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find the wording here as well myself, because that's not what's written here. So perhaps that needs to be amended. 259, is it? Sorry, successful applications released in June, July. So is that we were unsuccessful in...
No, we're not. They haven't released them.
Right, okay.
So we may still be successful.
And sorry, to clarify, so it's an application to change it and they're deemed on merit or on there's a certain amount that gets deemed successful. I'm not quite sure why it's an application for us to determine our street rules.
Well, that's what we do. We apply to them. They come and have a look at it. They put it through all their references, whatever they have to do, and then they make a determination. And at this point in time, there's been no determination.
No determination, but there has
been
an
assessment. Well, if there has been, we haven't been advised of it.
Right, but there's been an assessment.
I assume so.
No. Okay.
But I don't know. That's
cool. No worries.
The director may have some more information on that.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, the application is for the supporting funding required to put all the signage in, because there's a considerable amount of signage to put around town. If you decide that this zone is 40, then all the side streets have to go. So that's that's the program that we've applied to, and that goes hand in hand with TFNSW saying, yep, you've got a case for the 40 zone, and here's some funding. So it's like a two-step process.
Yeah, sorry. So just to clarify, yeah, that's really helpful, that articulation. So the application where we request to go to 40 sits in that same piece. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Wright?
I've got a question. On the south side of Kendall Street, in the bottom block from the bridge up to Macquarie Street, there's only half-hour parking there, and a lot of down to about the Indian restaurant or whatever. Is that new, or has I missed that before? I thought it was an hour parking or something.
Changing to the parking times in that area haven't been presented to the Transport Forum. So I assume that those parking time limits have been there since the Kendall Street upgrade.
Well, those signs look new. I didn't get glasses, so yeah, no, it just seemed a funny place to have a half-hour parking.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? With my right of reply, I'll just give you, councillors, a bit of information that the representative from Transport New South Wales, we had a fatality out in Neville, and she explained to us that whenever there's a fatality, it triggers $100,000 fund that if you can identify immediate things that would have helped or partly prevented that, there is a fund there that you can access to do that work immediately, which no one seemed to know about. And on the main roads, which Transport for New South Wales owns, it also triggers $100,000 release of funds for them to do the same thing. So no one seemed to know about that. So I just thought I'd share that a fatality triggers that. If you can use it, if sometimes a fatality might be for a reason that there's nothing wrong with a road or bend or anything else, but and sometimes a fatality is not an accident. But it does trigger that, which if you need to do urgent works, you can access that fund. Yes, certainly.
Could I I think I asked last time about the June-July timeframe on that 40 kilometre speed limit in the main street, and was hoping that by this meeting we would know. And it still says it's pending. Is there any way that the traffic forum can flow that up and just see where it's up to? Just to speed things along, saying that since it's past the date that it's supposed to have been due.
I'll take that on notice and get back to you. Yep.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass, thank you. 6.2, review of usage and viability of the village transfer system. Councillor Watt, are you? Well, Councillor Kiss, Councillor Watt, thank you. Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a recommendation that we review the report on the review and usage of the viability of the Woodstock and Goolagong village transfer stations. Now, even for myself, I have to try to stop using the word tip. I think that's important for all of us, because these are not tips, and it can cause a lot of misunderstandings and frustration for anybody that's out there in the villages. I have heard some residents complaining or being concerned that the tip isn't taking certain items or isn't taking certain things. And again, I think that's a lot to do with our miscommunication just in general. We need to be calling them MRF and the village transfer station. So, trying to help our residents to understand that it's there for certain residents, the ones who don't have access to collected waste facilities, that it's not just a willy-nilly dump point, that what goes into these transfer stations is then collected, taken out to the MRF, that it needs to be sorted for recycling, and at the very last resort, what is left over is placed in landfill. And it's also trying to be equitable by allowing, say, the one truckload go or the one trailer load go out each time, rather than one person or one resident potentially filling all of the transfer stations. So, look, I think it's great. I think there was only one thing I did add in my notes. Not in the recommendation, I don't believe it needs to go in there, but I think it's important that our village reps at Woodstock and Goolagong be advised of the updated usage, and just ask whether they would be able to share this information through their informal channels. It looks very easy, it's just about the acceptance of what goes where, what they're accepting, how much. Communication, I think, here is key for us all to be happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councillor Kiss. This is a review that we'd scheduled to assess the viability, I guess, and the usage of these two village transfer stations. They've had waxing and waning use over the years when they've been in place. There was some reductions and some increase in services available, and this was a scheduled review to see how it's being utilised. And I think from the report here, we can see there's been an increase, particularly in the last kind of 3 or 4 years, which has been really good to see people utilising that. Obviously, probably at the moment with fuel prices, people might be taking advantage rather than doing the tip run. But I think whatever we can do to yeah, I heard that one. Whatever we can do to improve people's waste management and reduce the amount of waste that isn't being treated with properly was really good to support our communities. There's always, I guess, a challenge in the determination of what we do and whether we do it for profit necessarily, and many of the services that we provide to our villages aren't cost neutral. They do cost the council money, but I do believe very strongly, and I think it is the view of this council, that what we're here to do is provide services to our communities, and particularly things such as waste management. That is something that we are willing to take as a cost rather than seeking to be cost neutral in this space to support that. appropriate management of waste and ensuring that our villagers aren't required to do additional trips into town or deal with the kind of challenges of transporting waste a long distance. And so I think this is a really good report, a really useful insight into the utilisation as well as the challenges and ways to improve, and a really good frame to go, yep, great, but let's always see how we can make that better and make that clearer for our community. So thank you very much to the team, and I absolutely endorse this recommendation.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Downing.
I just have a question. It states here that we don't consistently capture their usage, and so we've gone on revenue and transaction and revenue information. Do we have any plans to upgrade anything so we can capture who's using it more easily or more accurately?
The short answer would be yes. We will aim to improve the data. Data is the king.
Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright.
Yeah, I support that these two stations remain open to provide a service for the community there. It is a long, for some residents, it's a big trip to come to Cowra to go to the MRF for their waste disposal, and they're nearly going on the transactions. It's nearly $80 a load what they're taking in, so that they're getting we must be getting a fair bit of waste in there for that sort of money, and I think it's a necessary thing that we have to provide to try and maintain that not a lot of rubbish is dropped on table drains or behind some other mounds of dirt or something out on the Reeds Flat Road. With the Reeds Flat turn off on the Boora Road, we got a stockpile there that apparently a lot of stuff gets dumped behind, and I think these two facilities help minimise some of the dumping. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Right, a reply, Councillor Kiss.
Not needed, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 6.3, the Section 355 committee minutes from the Sale Yard Committee. Councillor Wright.
Yeah, I'll move that. Thank you.
And Councillor Horton. Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Yeah, this meeting was held in early August, so you get the minutes hot off the press. Things aren't going too bad over there at the sale yards. Just speaking to item 2, we're doing refurbishment of the existing truck wash there, and we're looking to put in a third ramp to take an extra vehicle. The truck wash income is representing nearly 40% of our income, 45% of our income. It is a major growing part of our business over there. A lot to do with biosecurity measures of trucks have to meet cleanliness, a certain degree of cleanliness to transport stock around, and we have a very good system there at the moment, but we are improving it. We've put a big tank there, so we've got a reservoir of water there, not reliant on a pump as you need it type delivery of water. I presume that's how you would say it. And as far as everything else is going, is our stock numbers are static from the previous year. We are maintaining our numbers, and we're addressing the situations as they arise of what needs doing. We seem to be mandatory scanning of sheep now. We, for some reason, we have the department there nearly every week just checking on scanning percentages and so forth, and most weeks we're pretty good. And I'll give a bit of a verbal report on the conference I went to in Rockhampton, which is in Queensland, apparently. And well, there was representatives there from Queensland, New South Wales, South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania. So we covered a lot of area with people being there. And Western Australia, I'm sorry. So yeah, every state except the Territory. And the first speaker, he spoke about, well, he's a consultant hired by Dubbo, and to see where they're going to go into the future of how they're to maintain or improve their facilities there, because they are a very large selling centre due to their positioning on the Newell Highway and proximity to southwest Queensland and western New South Wales. And I presume it's right, the manager fellow there said it's been estimated could spend $100 million to upgrade the facility there. But this speaker spoke, he said the biggest problem with a lot of sale yards operators, they consider their sale yards as a liability because they've always got to put money in it to keep going, but they should change their attitude and look at it as an asset because it draws in business, and you've got to maintain your costs the best way you can to so you have enough money at the end to do this replacement. And as with Cowra, we can see there in our financials, we have $37,000 to put into the sale yard reserve to do future upgrades, and we have got money coming out to upgrade the truck wash facility. So that was one important thing, was to change the view on the asset, that you've got an asset in your sale yards, it's not a liability. Because those big sailors like Dubbo, Forbes and Wagga, they have pretty big turnouts, and the sale yard manager or the supervisor, he said the council wanted to take $5 million out of their reserve to do something else in the town. Well, he wasn't all that happy about that because they've got a big upgrade to do too. But they're turning over a lot of money. It was interesting. Like, we've lost business here, and we could say that some's gone to Carcor, but I think more's gone to Forbes, as well as Auctions Plus and Direct over the hook. But talking to Bendigo, and we lost the cattle sale, talking to Bendigo, which is a big sale in Victoria, a very good prime lamb area. The lamb sale's hanging on. It's still doing well, but they've lost their cattle sale, and they got very good facilities, but it went to Ballarat and Shepparton, which haven't got quite as good facilities. Well, they haven't got near as good as facilities as what Bendigo has, but it was to do with the agents or the producers, and Bendigo has also had an adjustment in the use of land around Bendigo, and but they still maintain their sheep but not their cattle. So things change without anyone doing anything wrong, and so you've got to learn to adapt to change in your business operation of these things. And there was it was quite good. I'll write it down what I found out, but we're holding our own, and I think it's good, the management that we got there. And you think, well, the truck wash is only a sideline, but it's going to be a big sideline going forward. So I commend the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Horton.
Yeah, thank you. happy to endorse the minutes. 2 questions if I can. I'm not sure who's best placed to answer. Item 4.3, discussions around B triple access. Have we got a sense of the impact of B triples not being able to access the sale yards? Do we know what the impact is of that? And secondarily, I note there the Mayor is continuing to lobby for the review of B triple access, so I'm curious if there's any movement there. Thank you.
I can answer the second one. No, there's not.
Yeah.
Transport for New South Wales declared that the road from Forbes through to Cowra is not up to standard for that sort of vehicle, and it's their road. So the Director can explain to you a little bit more of the difference between a B triple and an A double, and there's a whole different length, and obviously length is weight. But the first part of your question, obviously a buyer, if you can put more on a truck, the freight component is less. So they can afford to pay a bit more at Forbes, where they can get a B triple in, than they can in Cowra, because there is a freight component. How much that is, I don't know. We do seem to be holding our prices pretty well. We do have very good quality lambs, and it sticks to us a bit. But the buyers still turn up and they all get sold, but there has to be a freight penalty.
Just as an update, I think we'll all recall from previous sale yards minutes there was a resolution to write to TFNSW to see if council could get some traction on that item, and we have sent off a letter and got a response which I'll circulate to you, which is a fairly generic response saying, you know, TFNSW will fund various improvements over time.
Anyone else wish to comment?
Yeah, I'll make a comment on that if you like. We had a representative from Fraser's Livestock at the seminar, and his first comment: we haven't got enough trucks or crates to do what work we have to do properly. Like he said he's got to have 5 different languages. Booklets in his truck, so the mix of drivers he's got can understand what they've got to do. But the problem with Cowra is that our transporters, they can pull the B triples or the B double. The B double can come here, the B triple can't. But it sort of just frustrates them. They can't just fill up their loads, and they got to mix things around to get them to where they got to go. And just because they don't pull it, they're not pulling a B double on a B triple. They're still registered to be able to pull a B triple on the Newell Highway or roads west of there, and but that same registered vehicle, they can't pull the B double on east of the Newell Highway, so they're being asked to pay registration on vehicles which fit into the system, but the roads aren't up to speed. So Transport for New South Wales have got a lot to answer for. If they can't maintain the roads to a certain level, it makes it difficult. They could even fill up some at Forbes and bring this B triple up to Cowra and top up at Cowra to take them down to Goulburn Sale or down, not Sale, the abattoirs, or down to Gundagai and so forth. It just restricts the efficiency of what the drivers are set up, what the freight system's set up to be, and I don't know how it's going to end. There was these B triple ones driving through the city, the centre of Rockhampton up there. So they were. It's a bit wider, a lot of double roads where we were up there, but so certain areas they go better. Thank you. Shut up.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Right a reply, councillor Wright, or was that it?
I think that's enough.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Thank you very much. 7.1, the Environmental Sustainability Management Delivery Plan. Councillor Fagan. Councillor Wright. Councillor Fagan.
This environmental sustainability plan has been on public exhibition for 28 days, as is required. It was originally put up to council quite a few months ago, and the Environmental Sustainability Committee has undergone a bit of a reshuffle. We are now changed our name from Natural Resource Management, and we're now focusing on environmental sustainability, community partnerships and management of community and operational lands, which goes across the Environmental Services Department as well as infrastructure and operations. It is a very large plan. It takes in an awful lot of community and a lot of different aspects of our community and our region. So I will leave it at that because it is very large and there's lots to talk about. But I do want to have a bit of an ad for the Ag Forum we're holding on the 8th of September at the Services Club, the Club Cowra, and council is actually sponsoring that. So if anyone would like to go and talk about the future of ag, then that's a very good place to be. And also council's holding a Weeds Awareness Day on the 10th of September at the Cowra Showground. So we have 2 events coming up, and you're more than welcome to attend if you're interested in that. And that's part of the Environmental Sustainability Committee projects that we have. So thank you.
Councillor Wright.
Yeah, I think Councillor Fagan's covered it pretty well. There's a lot involved in the environmental area. Like we've got to investigate and implement strategies to mitigate negative impacts of native fish, and it covers a lot of area. And even when our workmen go out to grade a road or clean up a roadside, they've got to be careful they don't disturb native flora and so forth, the animal and that the fauna lives in, and it's an ongoing thing. But what we probably did without a policy, we have got a policy written down, and it just reflects what we do in most cases or did before, and we still got to keep the weeds clean and so forth, our weeds under control and so forth, and this policy document is what other plans had linked to provide an outcome. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment? Right a reply, Councillor Fagan.
Just to say that we have a very strong committee of very interesting, diverse people with a very good backgrounds in environmental and farming practices. So it's and birds, and we have everybody, and it's an interesting committee to be on. But it does cover an enormous amount of content. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 8 is late reports. You should have an agenda of late reports on your desk. Item 1.8.1 is the CBD committee meeting of 19th of August. Councillor Watt? Councillor Kiss, thank you. Councillor Watt?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and firstly, thank you to the General Manager for managing to get these back around so quickly. We had this meeting last Wednesday, so very well done. Through this meeting, we had a debrief of our fantastic visit to Forbes, which last time we brought minutes from the CBD committee, many in the chamber were interested in. We were very lucky to be taken around by a councillor and then later met with the Mayor of Forbes. It was really an inspiring day for our committee to look at different ways that other councillors and other communities approach their CBD and get some ideas for our own. I think one of the comments was that we kept looking around and someone looked up what the population of Forbes was, because particularly their area around their lake was so heavily populated on a Sunday, cold, wet Sunday morning, that we must have presumed they had a higher population than us, but they did not. But it was really good, I think, just to have that separate outing, get thinking about ways different people do things and think about how we can bring them here. And we are planning on reciprocating and hosting Forbes Mayor and Councillor here to talk to them about what we're looking at and get some ideas about the River Precinct as well. We are focused at the moment on one of our objectives around looking to a retail gap analysis that was outlined in the CBD Place Activation Strategy and is also in Council's plans for this year, as well as analysing our spend map data. We note, unfortunately, we have 2 resignations. We haven't had a meeting in a couple of months because we had our Forbes visit, and we plan to not hold meetings around in a financial year as we have a number of business owners on the committee. But we have sadly had the resignation of Jessie Murphy, who served as the co-chair of the committee for some time. Jessie, as is noted in the minutes, is preparing to welcome a little baby. So as many in the room would understand, has taken a decision to step down for the committee from this time. But Jessie's been a real advocate from the beginning of the committee, in a really interesting and useful perspective, being someone who isn't a Cowra local, bringing forward some real energy to the committee, as well as stepping up to be the co-chair of the committee after never being on a committee before. So I think it's a really great example here, and I think we might see him come back around when things settle down a little bit personally. As well as Adam Gamble for similar reasons. With he's a man with many commitments and has a conflicting commitment with his soccer work on that night. So unfortunately, both of those committee members have stood down. As we know, it's a big ask for community members to jump on committees. So we thank them both very much for their time. We would like to ask Council's permission to, instead of seek to fill the 2 positions by appointment from the committee, to open up a public expression of interest. Most councillors will remember that's how we started the committee back in 2022. I can't remember when it was. I think it was 2022, with a public expression of interest, and we're really lucky to receive more than double the applications for the positions that we had, and it's very well prescribed. We've looked to fill positions in the past from people who applied to begin with, but it has been quite some time. So we'd like to open that back up to our community to put their hand up, and we found that's a really great way to get new people who haven't been on committees before to come forward and share their ideas. So yeah, that's everyone, I'm sure, has taken the time to read the minutes, and that's the ask. It's a different ask than adopting the minutes tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kiss.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Watt. I can see the CBD committee is really doing extraordinary things. I did ask whether there might be a consideration with regard to the retail gap analysis 5.3. I do know that it's in our operational plan and it's mentioned in the activation plan as well, so it does clearly seem like a next step. But I'm wondering whether there might be consideration to collaborate with the Cowra Business Chamber now that it's really up and operational. And in particular, like the Business Chamber has its own member business directory, and ideally I'd love to see all businesses mentioned up on there. And, you know, I have to question what is actually deterring people from joining the Business Chamber, you know, when you consider that their businesses could be promoted up there. So I see this as being duly beneficial. You know, if we're going to be putting in some of the effort to creating a business gap analysis, well, they could potentially be gaining new members as well. So I think, you know, halving the load potentially, but, you know, ultimately I think both will benefit from the collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Wright?
If I could comment, I'd just like to promote an AI, a business chamber event on Tuesday night about AI. It's free, 6 o'clock at the Cowra Services Club. If anyone would like to go, you just have to notify the business chamber. Yeah, it's tomorrow night. That's right, it is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, and it's all about AI, which is something that people are grappling with and struggling with. So it'll be interesting. So if anyone would like to go, we business chamber are running that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Yeah, I just I noticed that you mentioned the activation around the lake at Forbes, and we've often spoke about what we can do along our river, but the difference between the lake and the river is the lake's generally it's at one height and the area is flat and level. But you think you could still do something with the riverbank and the water being a long way away from the top of the bank and so forth?
Yeah, look, they do put most of their stuff around the lake, and it is a certain level most of the time. So they do a lot of activities on their lake. They even do water skiing on that lake around the back of it, which we didn't realise. They took us on a tour of that. But it is level, it is flat. They don't do anything on their river, or very little. It is all done on the lake, and they did get a lot of flood damage funding to replace a lot of that, and they've done a very good job on what they've replaced it with. They've got some play equipment there that is beautiful. They've got that canteen down there on the lake, and they've done it very well. But I take your point. We have a river that rises, falls, steep banks, and they do all their work on the lake. They are two different kettles of fish, but certainly you can learn off anybody pretty well.
My second question is, I don't know if it's relevant to the CBD, but it could be in the business chamber. When the announcement for the first block of housing up in Yarrabilly of 100 houses, and the mayor made an announcement out the front of the council here how good it was, and it will be good. He said, you can come to Cowra, there's plenty of jobs. Have we got a record of what jobs there are available, or do we have any feedback from the CBD committee of what number of jobs they could be looking for, or from the business chamber? So there is something written down somewhere that we can let people know what the vacancies are in Cowra, like on a. I'm not saying we run a employment office, just to have an update every couple of months of what the vacancies are.
I'll clarify that comment I made was anecdotal evidence that Civil Cast were looking for people, the machinery manufacturers were looking for people, and Ed Fagan's always looking for people. So there is work around. It mightn't suit some people. But there are businesses in town looking for people nearly all the time. Okay, anyone else wish to comment? Councillor Downing?
Just to address Councillor Kiss's suggestion that the CBD committee work with the business chamber, that's not a bad idea, but I think what the CBD committee is looking at is just doing that gap analysis, not actually getting the retailers or a list of retailers. I think it's more involved in getting what is selling and somehow putting that out there to our community who may not know that, for example, the news agency has toys or things like that. So it's like not just a list of businesses, but an actual what these businesses do and what we have in our town, rather than focusing on what we don't have, which is the common theory. Yeah.
That was part of the thing, that we would put out a list of what is available, what shops sell what. There's a bit of work in it, but we thought that was, and I made the comment that it may appease some people to know where you can buy certain things. it won't appease those who don't want to be appeased. But we thought that would be a thing where we would try and get together the shops that do sell things, be it underwear or whatever, where you can buy them. So we thought we'd try and put that together.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for jumping in. Just to add on that, there was, particularly to your point, Councillor Kiss, the challenge of that the Business Chamber is a member-based organisation, and as Councillor Speechley and I know, being on the tourism side, being a member-based organisation, you represent your members, and I guess the benefit and the determination of the committee was that's this kind of proposal of all of what's available and representing all of Cowra fits quite well with the CBD Committee and Council, and it kind of deals with that challenge as people build. The Business Chamber is offering more support to developing businesses, supporting businesses and how they operate themselves, whereas this is something more of a town promotion. You'd be aware that the Business Chamber does have a standalone representation at all times on the committee, and at the moment it's held by Zach Jones, the secretary, and he's a really active member of the committee. And we do often, think about how we can make sure we're not duplicating work between the two of us. But I think there is a really clear distinction of, this being about building the infrastructure of the CBD, promoting to our community, and the Business Chamber, as is in every local government area, and as well as the New South Wales Business Chamber, is about supporting businesses to develop and focusing more on that, and we're focusing more on that community connection. I think the river and lake comparison is always really useful. There is an element in the CBD plan, of course, about river activation, but I think at the crux of it, what the Forbes councillors were trying to show us by showing us the lake is that kind of place activation of what they've done there. They've gone from somewhere that people didn't spend a lot of time to putting in some infrastructure that drew people to the area. And that's a real part of the CBD activation plan, of thinking about how do we encourage people to come to the CBD, to spend time in the CBD, as well as in our town more broadly. And they've done a real shift in what that space was and what it is now. There's definitely some lessons for us in just the flood resilience of what they've put in place there, that it is all largely things that can be moved or will be fine when the floodwaters lift. We're of course lucky in some parts that some of the areas around, we don't get as impacted immediately depending on the flood level. And they did, in fact, actually, Mayor Miller did say, some of it was funded by flood, but a lot of it was funded by local communities, and some elements they put into, they put in a movable cafe down there that they subcontract out to be managed, and that brings people in, and there's kind of a flow-on effect there and connection with the caravan park that we have as well on our river precinct. So lots and lots of opportunities, but I think, the main part of the excursion was to see, how does someone else do it, and get some inspiration for how you might bring that back to what we're doing here in place activation, being the key part of what the CBD committee is trying to achieve.
Thank you. Was that your right of reply, Councillor Watt? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Thank you. 8.2, the councillor information request is on the second half of that late reports there. Can I have someone? It was the answer to the questions that were put through since Saturday. Councillor Wright. Councillor Fagan, thank you. Councillor Wright.
It's pretty straightforward. This is just letting everyone know what questions are asked regarding the agenda items prior to the meeting, so everyone in the community knows what people what the councillors are thinking.
Thank you, Councillor Fagan. Anyone else wish to comment? Right of reply, Councillor Wright.
Not needed.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Thank you. We now come to confidential matters. 101, Tender 5, 2026, West Cowra Recreation Ground Amenities. 10.2, Tender 7, 2026, Supply Traffic Control Services. and 10.3 tender 62026 Mullion Park amenities. These matters are considered to be confidential under Section 10A of the Local Government Act, and Council is satisfied that discussion of these matters in an open meeting would on balance be contrary to the public interest, as they deal with commercial information of a confidential nature that would, if disclosed, prejudice the commercial position of the person who supplied it. Can I have a move that we go into that, Councillor Wright? Councillor Horton, thank you. Councillor Wright?
Yeah, well, there's some things that decisions have to be made confidentially, so that people that put their tenders and so forth isn't publicly disadvantaged before the decision's made. Thank you.
Councillor Horton?
Not needed, thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment? Right or reply, Councillor Wright?
No, thanks.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Pass. Thank you.